My name is Lainey Brooks, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Brunch with the Band, an afternoon concert featuring the Boynton Beach Gold Coast Band. Without further ado, please welcome our most talented artistic director and musical conductor, Barbara Rubenstein. Please rise and join us in singing our national anthem. We begin today's concert with Alexander's Ragtime Band by Irving Berlin. Irving Berlin was an American composer and lyricist, widely considered one of the greatest songwriters in American history. Born in Imperial Russia in 1888, Berlin arrived in the United States at the age of 5. He published his first song, Marie from Sunny Italy, in 1907 at the age of 19, receiving 33 cents for the publishing rights, and had his first major international hit, Alexander's Ragtime Band, in 1911 at the age of 23. I love my audience. Initially, the song was not recognized as a hit when Broadway producer Jesse Lasky introduced it into his Follies show. It was performed as an instrumental, which did not impress the audience at all, and so it was quickly dropped from the show. But Berlin, still liking it very much, decided to add lyrics, and when he played it again for another Broadway review, it received a rave review from the Variety News Weekly, calling it the musical sensation of the decade. As is the case with many of Berlin's music, this is the kind of music that makes you want to sing out loud. And since we know that you all know the words, please feel free to sing out and enjoy Irving Berlin's musical sensation of the decade, Alexander's Ragtime Band. Okay, next we have Ode to Joy from Ludwig van Beethoven's Symphony Number 9. Beethoven's Symphony Number 9, composed between 1822 and 1824, was the first symphony by a major composer to include vocal parts. It was Beethoven's last complete symphony, composed and premiered when he was almost completely deaf. The story of its premiere is somewhat funny, as he insisted that he wanted to conduct. But because of his deafness, he would give the tempos, turn the pages of the score, and beat time for an orchestra that he could not hear, making it almost impossible for them to follow. And yet the premiere was a grand success because although he stood at the podium, it was the baton of the choral leader who everyone in the orchestra followed. Today, Symphony Number 9 is considered by many critics and musicologists one of the supreme achievements in the history of music. Please enjoy this wonderful masterpiece as we play for you Ode to Joy from the fourth and final movement of Beethoven's Symphony Number 9. We bring you some real fun with Cool Blues by James Boyle. Russia, a poor peasant must contend with marrying off his 3 oldest daughters. This is the story of Tevye in that fabulous award-winning Broadway show Fiddler on the Roof. Opening in 1964, Fiddler is the first Broadway musical to run more than 3,000 performances. It held that title for 10 years until it was surpassed by who? And you don't win a trip to Hawaii, trust me. This is just for fun. Grease. I would have thought Sound of Music, right? Yeah, Grease. Whatever. It won 9 Tony Awards, and here's a little trivia for you, in case you don't know. Bette Midler played one of Tevye's daughters on Broadway from 1966 to 1970. The film version came in 1971, receiving 8 nominations at the 44th Academy Awards. Since its release, it continues to win acclaim. A documentary titled Fiddler's Journey to the Big Screen was released in 2022 on PBS, which I saw and which was wonderful. Here for you now is a medley including Fiddler on the Roof, Tradition, If I Were a Rich Man, Sunrise, Sunset, and Matchmaker. verse. The origin of our next piece, When the Saints Go Marching In, is a bit unclear. It apparently evolved in the early 1900s from a number of similarly titled gospel songs. There was When the Saints Come Marching In, When the Saints Are Marching In, When the Saints Are Marching In for Crowning. Today we're going to do When the Saints Go Marching In. Okay. The song takes much of its lyrics from the book of Revelations. The verses about the sun and the moon are often seen as solar and lunar eclipses. The trumpet is the way in which the last judgment is announced. As the hymn expresses the desire to go to heaven, picturing the saints going in through the pearly gates, it is sometimes played at funerals. The earliest versions were slow and stately, but as time passed, the recordings became more rhythmic, with the most famous recording being that of Louis Armstrong, made in 1938. And still going strong, here is When the Saints Go Marching In. Join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. David Larrick, who is not only an extremely talented tuba player, but who is also a talented conductor, as we shall discover as he leads the band through our next piece, The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. Scott Joplin, born in you're gonna love this. I love doing this research. Okay, Scott Joplin, born in 1868, was an African-American pianist and composer. Dubbed the King of Ragtime, he composed more than 40 ragtime pieces, 1 ragtime ballet, and 2 operas. Through his composition, Maple Leaf Rag, he had a steady income. However, his life was far from easy. He and his wife lost their first child. His second wife died 10 weeks after they were married. By 1916, Joplin was suffering from syphilis and descended into madness. In 1917, he was admitted to Manhattan State Hospital, a mental institution where he died a few months later at the age of 49. He was buried in a pauper's grave that remained unmarked for 57 years. His grave at St. Michael's Cemetery in East Elmhurst was finally honored in 1974. The Entertainer was written in 1902, first published as sheet music, then appearing as a player piano roll in 1910. It gained tremendous fame when it was the theme for the movie The Sting and was performed by Marvin Hamlish. In addition to conductor David Lyric, we also want to give a shout out to band member Jim St. Clair, who created the instrumental adaptation of this piece that we are performing for you today. Here is The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. Rubenstein to say a few words.
Thank you. On behalf of the Boynton Beach Gold Coast Band, I want to thank you so much for inviting us to play for you this afternoon. We hope you are all enjoying this little brunch with the band. We feel very fortunate to be able to share your home here as our weekly rehearsal space. I want to thank everyone here at the First Presbyterian Church for facilitating our use of the Fellowship Hall, particularly Pastor Emily Ash.
Barbara, I just really thank you so much for you and all your band members for coming out today and making this a really special spring outing for us. This has been a great experience and we thank you so much. Every Thursday night, this band gathers here in this fellowship hall. And Willie always says, because he's here with them at night, he always goes, I never get to hear a whole song played. So I don't know where he is, but I hope he's happy right now because the whole songs are being played. But we thank you so much. How many years have you been here with us?
This is since after
4 years this has been going on. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I also want to particularly also thank Kathy McDevitt, the church administrator, and of course Willie, who is here every week with us for all his assistance. We hope that you have been enjoying our music this afternoon. We are sharing with you a representative sample of our typical concerts. Unfortunately, we don't have our full winter-sized band with us. This date came up a little bit unexpectedly, so quite a few people had prior commitments already made for this date. And then, of course, illness has set in a little bit. So we've got about 40 people here this afternoon, and we usually number close to 65 at this time of the year. But I think they're doing a fabulous job. Our repertoire consists of a wide variety of genres in an effort to present something enjoyable for everyone, and that's what we are presenting for you this afternoon. You already heard a tiny preview of our next and final concert of this season that we will be presenting on Sunday, April 14th at the Boynton Beach Community High School auditorium. The theme will be Marching into Spring and will include a wide variety of marches. You already heard the Dixieland March. There will be a circus march, marches from Broadway musicals, of course, Sousa marches, and much more. So we hope that you will be able to join us for what is probably going to be a very exciting afternoon concert. It's Sunday, April 14th at 3 o'clock at the Boynton Beach Community High School. And I believe there are some flyers for it on the table in the fellowship hall. So feel free to pick one up. And we certainly hope to see all of you there with us.
What time?
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. And now please join me in thanking and welcoming back to the lectern our delightful mistress of ceremonies, Lainey Brooks.
Our next piece, Highlights from West Side Story, includes a medley of I Feel Pretty, Maria, and Tonight. West Side Story is the musical retelling of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, written by Leonard Bernstein, who is considered to be one of the most talented and successful musicians in American history. He was the first American conductor to receive international recognition. The 1950s were considered the most active years of his professional career, for that is when he wrote not only West Side Story, but 4 other Broadway musicals, several symphonic compositions, and was appointed the musical director of the New York Philharmonic, a position he held for 12 years. Set in the 1950s in New York City's Upper East Side, the music of West Side Story blends the elements of jazz, Latin rhythms, and sophisticated symphonic techniques into unforgettable melodies. It is a musical that does it all, just like the Boynton Beach Band. Here is the Boynton Beach Gold Coast Band performing highlights from West Side Story. two classical marches. This is a very interesting piece in that the arranger, John O'Reilly, has combined a classical march written by Ludwig van Beethoven in 1809 with a classical march by Franz Liszt written somewhere between 1818 and 1824, which just by the composer's names alone made me think, what was he thinking? So this is what I found out. He has given us the first of Franz Liszt's three Marches Militaires, which was written somewhere between 1818 and 1824, when Liszt was hired to be a music teacher to Count Esterhazy's daughters. So this was an instructional piece. Our arranger then combines this with Beethoven's classical Turkish March, which was written in 1809 with the dynamic theme of a procession passing by, starting softly, rising to a climax, and then receding away. In the end, what O'Reilly has done is wonderful, because what he has done is to give us a taste of two classical pieces that we will really enjoy. It's as simple as that. So without further thought as to what was he thinking, let's enjoy two classical marches as arranged by John O'Reilly. Let There Be Peace on Earth was originally written for the International Children's Choir in Long Beach, California. Written by Jill Jackson Miller and Cy Miller in 1955, Jackson Miller explains that she wrote the song after discovering what she calls the life-saving joy of God's peace and unconditional love of God. What more can one say, especially in today's times? Let there be peace on earth. and Stripes Forever by John Philip Sousa is our final piece today, and one that we know will leave you big smiles on your faces because march music always does. John Philip Sousa composed well over 100 marches. His best-known march, Stars and Stripes Forever, was composed on Christmas Day in 1896. As with most Sousa marches, it begins with a rousing introduction, followed by 3 contrasting melodies of varied moods. The boldest of those melodies is restated grandly by the amazing piccolo solo in the finale. In 1987, by an act of Congress, Stars and Stripes Forever became the national march of the United States of America. On behalf of the Boynton Beach Gold Coast Band, I want to thank you again for the privilege and pleasure of performing for you today as we leave you with John Philip Sousa's Stars and Stripes Forever.
Thank you.